8257. We're also streaming on YouTube, but if you would like to make a public comment, that would need to be done during the public comment time over Zoom. And so I will now call this meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. And if I could get a roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Fernando Gonzalez Sanchez.
Here.
Councilmember Fernando Cabrera.
Here.
Councilmember Enrisa Benuela.
Here.
Councilmember Ben Caldera.
Here.
And I just wanted to acknowledge through the chair that the mayor will be here shortly, but she got caught up in traffic, so she's on her way.
Thank you, Megan. All right, with that, we'll move on to our Pledge of Allegiance. And if I could have Ramos Arroyo lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Do we have any additions or modifications to the agenda?
We do. I wanted to note that the presentation from the Salinas Valley Recycles will be moved. We're coordinating on a date, but to be coming back to council pretty soon. And then I did want to note that the proclamation for the city council of Soledad celebrating the anniversary of the founding of the township of Soledad actually will be presented during the meeting this evening. And then given I'm very impressed with our Soledad Warriors cheer team and all the families that are here. I would suggest that we move that certificate of recognition before the youth council. So if the youth council doesn't mind, I'm going to move the presentations up tonight and then the youth council to follow.
Awesome. Do we need a vote, Mike, or we can just move it?
No, you just need to basically give it your blessing. As the chair or as the president, you have the ability to mix things up on the agenda.
Sounds good to me. I approve.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So now we'll move on to public comment. At this time, any member of the public may address the city council on items not appearing on the agenda and items of interest to the public that are within the jurisdiction of the council. A public comment card should be filled out completely to ensure the speaker is called upon to give comment. Public comments are generally limited to 3 minutes. The mayor may further limit the time for public comments depending on the agenda schedule. Please be brief and to the point. No action or discussion shall be taken on an item not appearing on the agenda. And then if you did not fill a comment card, you are still able to make a public comment. So I will take it out to the chamber to see if anyone would like to make a public comment on items not appearing on the agenda.
Hello. There's no section for open comment on an item that's on the agenda since it's just for the Warriors, but we wanted to say thank you to Mayor Ana Velasquez. My daughter's out there, but she made a donation when we were seeking donations for her trip to Las Vegas. So we just wanted to give her a thank you card. So if we can just give it to her, can I approach it?
Yeah, we can hand it over to Darlene.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment out in the chamber? I do not have access on Zoom to check. I don't know if we have any on Zoom. No. And then any written public comment, Darlene?
One did come in, but it's for an actual.
Okay. Perfect. Awesome. All right. Thank you. So I will close out the public comment portion and we'll move on to our council presentation, a certificate of recognition for the Soledad Warriors Cheer Junior Peewees. So on behalf of the Soledad City Council, in proud recognition of the Soledad Warriors Cheer Junior Peewees for earning first place at the JAMS Youth Nationals held at the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. So round of applause. All right. Is the team here?
That's coming.
They're coming. Should I pause? I'll pause. Yeah.
Snazzy jackets.
Awesome. All right. So again, on behalf of the Soledad City Council and proud recognition of the Soledad Warriors Cheer Junior Peewees, we want to thank you for your dedication, your teamwork, and your warrior spirit, which has brought pride to the city of Soledad and showcased excellence on a national stage. Congratulations on this incredible achievement. All right, if we, maybe the coaches, if anybody wants to give a comment, or any of the girls.
Come on, Sherelle.
Oh, no, I just want to say thank you to the city of Soledad, and
To the podium. Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to the city council and to the city of Soledad for being one of our hugest supporters, and just we're super grateful for our girls for placing first. It took us a while to get there, but we finally got there, and I'm excited for them. Super excited. But thank you guys. We appreciate you guys.
Awesome, thank you. So if we could maybe take about 5 minutes, if we can take pictures with the team.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Do they want to say something? Do you guys want to say something?
Thank you so much. The City of Soledad would also like to recognize the Soledad Warriors Cheer Pee-wees for second place at the Jams Nationals held at the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. And we would also like to recognize the Soledad Warriors Cheer Midgets who placed third place. So if we could have the folks come in.
And both of us, both of us.
All right, so on behalf of the City of Soledad, we would also like to recognize you all for placing second place for the Pee-wees and third place for the Midgets. Again, congratulations for all of your hard work and dedication. Yeah. So again, all three teams did an amazing job, and it just goes to show the dedication, not only with the girls on the team, but also their coaches. I want to thank you all as well for your dedication and serving your community. I recognize some of you from high school, so it's always a great opportunity to see more folks here and coaching folks. So thank you again so much, and we're going to take another brief pause to take pictures again. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the pause and allowing us to celebrate for a bit. So before we move forward, I think there was some comments, public comments people wanted to make, and I know we had a full room and it's nice to see. So we're gonna go back to public comments. And then we'll start again with our presentations, okay? So with that, then I will open it up to public comments. So if any members of the public wish to make a comment on items that are not appearing on the agenda, they can come up to the podium. And we'll start with those that are joining us here, and then we'll go out to those that are joining us via Zoom. So do we have any members of the public that are joining us here that would like to make a comment? If you can come up to the podium, please. Thank you. Yeah, you too. Come on.
Hello, council members. I am Alex Calderon. This is Jessica Huete. These are my little ones, Amelia, Gianna, and Kiana. And we are the new owners of the Soledad Grocery Outlet. So I just want to introduce myself, and we're excited to be part of this community. And we look to, make the same impact that Zeke and Crystal did and, pick up where they left off for sure.
Oh,
yeah.
thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
And thank you so much. It's great to see your little ones as well. So thank you. Thank you for coming. And, we obviously it's a big investment in our community as well. And so we really congratulate you for being business owners and really investing here in Soledad. So thank you so much. We look forward to working with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you
If there's anything we can do, let us know. We'll be around.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we, can you make sure to provide Darlene with your contact information?
Absolutely.
Because we would love to make sure our economic development personnel reach out.
Yes.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you. Do we have?
Have another public comment.
You want to speak?
Do you want to say, you want to make a public comment? She wants to introduce herself.
She's watching her show on the camera.
Do you want to say something? Well, thank you for coming. So at this time, do we have any other members of the public that wish to make a public comment? Okay, seeing none, from our dais, then I will go into our youth council. So we already said take that out. Okay, perfect. Thank you. And thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for covering while I was traveling from Merced to here. So apologize for being late. So we will move on then to our next item on the agenda, which is our youth council report. So we do have program updates on street safety, our street safety initiative from our youth council. So if you guys can join us at the podium.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. It is a pleasure to be here once again. My name is Mela Ramirez, and I am joined by
Cindy Alcaraz
And Giovanni Bravo.
and we are here on behalf of the Soledad Youth Council to present our current summary. Firstly, we want to share our community outreach efforts. On December 6th of 2025, 7 youth council members facilitated a fun holiday Rice Krispie decorating activity during the Soledad Christmas Parade. During the event, 80 Rice Krispie treats were sold, allowing the council to engage with youth and families, while raising $240 to support operational needs and community activities and projects like our street safety initiative, Safer Streets, Safer Futures. Building on this engagement, on December 14th, 7 of our youth council members visited Eden Valley Care Center and conducted a festive holiday craft activity. They went from room to reach more than 45 residents. These experiences not only allowed the youth council to serve our most vulnerable community, but also provided members with valuable service experience, reinforcing the importance of civic engagement.
Moving on to our street safety initiative, the Youth Council met with the Soledad Police Department to better understand current street safety challenges. 11 council members participated in the discussion, and the insights gained will be incorporated into a formal presentation for Public Works Department. We also met with Alex from Public Works, who shared valuable insights into his role and offered great input on our initiative, which we will also incorporate into our presentation. To advance this work, Youth Council members were divided into 3 committees. The Site Assessment Committee has worked to identify and prioritize streets and intersections most in need of repair, restoration, and safety-related issues. The Research Committee has been working together to learn more about current city initiatives like Safe Routes to School, to review street safety efforts in neighboring cities and help support informed local decision-making. The Outreach Committee is developing strategies to educate students, residents, and daily commuters about street safety.
As a group, we have been using the information we gathered from our meeting with the police department as well as Public Works, with our own research to identify community and agency partners for our initiative, such as TAMSI. With information and guidance from these partners, we believe we can strengthen our efforts and make a greater impact on our community. As we move into 2026, we are preparing for a busy year. We recently met with advisors and commissioners from youth councils from our neighboring cities to gain knowledge on what projects they are working on and discuss possible collaboration efforts for our youth summit. The Soledad Youth Council is excited about the progress made through collaboration, research, and community service. We are committed to continuing this work for our Soledad community. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to updating you all.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for all the work that you guys are doing. You guys have had a busy beginning of the year continuing with your research. And I really appreciate that you guys have divided into different committees, which is, your site committee, research committee, and outreach committee. So you guys are already organized in terms of moving forward. So really excited to see. Obviously, this work is really important, and we're advocating for you in TAMSI to get more money and to be able to make sure that you guys have what you need to be able to support the efforts of really saving lives and protecting our community. So thank you. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Let me just open up really quickly to the council if there's any follow-up questions for the youth council. And I'll start with Councilmember Caldera, and we can just go.
Well, thank you. You know how I feel about you guys. I really appreciate what you do out there. Just looking forward to see what recommendations you guys put forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think on behalf of the council, we really appreciate your involvement. I know for me, always available to have conversations. I think a couple of years ago, we had like a panel with the council from there and the city council, and I thought that was really cool to be able to engage with you guys more. So I would love to have that opportunity again.
Thank you. Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes, I just want to congratulate you guys because of the organization that you guys have. The participation that day in the Christmas events was excellent. You guys have a lot of participation. You attracted a lot of people, and that shows that you guys are leaders already in our community. I heard about your research committee, and I love it. I think it is a great idea, so you guys can get closer into the issues that we have in Soledad. And I think that you identified a couple of them, and just give us let us know if we can do something for you guys.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
You guys, thank you so much. Just your heart and also your dedication. And, quote unquote, when I say it's poking the bear, it's like you want things to happen. And I appreciate you guys, the charisma, the enthusiasm that you guys show, because it shows not just to you, but everyone else. So I appreciate you guys, your walk, and, keep doing that as you guys graduate too. And I know you're a senior, right?
Yes.
So yeah, keep doing it. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And we look forward to the next presentation and the work that you guys have ahead of you. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, so at this time, we'll move on to council presentations, and we have remaining 3 council presentations. And we'll start off with the proclamation of the City Council of the City of Soledad celebrating Black History Month. We don't have a formal presentation, but we do have, it will be placed on our website, and obviously Black History Month is really critical. We want to make sure that we honor everyone that is working really hard to honor and recognize significant contributions and achievements of history and the history of Black Americans in shaping our nation, our communities, and our shared future. whereas the history of Black Americans is an integral part of the broader American story, reflecting resilience, perseverance, and a relentless pursuit of justice and equality despite centuries of oppression and systemic barriers. And whereas Black History Month provides a vital opportunity to recognize the courageous fight for civil rights, the endurance of the human spirit in the face of injustice, and the countless triumphs of Black leaders, scholars, artists, and innovators. Whereas the City of Soledad recognizes that history of our community is intricately linked to the diverse individuals who have labored, led, and lived within the Salinas Valley. And whereas we acknowledge that the progress of our city is built upon the diversity of its residents. And we honor Black community members in Soledad who serve as educators, essential workers, business owners, civic leaders, and many other key roles in our community. And whereas the City of Soledad remains committed to fostering an inclusive environment where the dignity of every resident is respected and where the history of all citizens is told with honesty, pride, and gratitude. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Soledad hereby recognizes the month of February as Black History Month. We encourage all citizens to engage in meaningful conversations, educational activities, and events that honor the legacy of African Americans and promote a more inclusive and equitable future for all. So thank you. This will be posted in our website. And each individual council member, obviously, we have connections as well in terms of a lot of the community members that really work to improve the lives of our African Americans, but also our Latino community. So we just want to say thank you. So with that, we will move on to our next item of business, which is our next proclamation of the City Council. Thank you. The City Council celebrating the anniversary of the founding of the Township of Soledad. So this is a first for us. We know when we were incorporated, so as cities, that's meaningful. So we have a little history that our residents can learn. So we do have a proclamation, and we do have Craig Stevens from the Historical Society that's here with us. So if you want to come to the front, Craig, and then I will turn this over to Councilwoman Bayona so she can read this for us.
So a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Soledad celebrating the anniversary of the founding of the Township of Soledad. Whereas on February 6, 1876, the Township of Soledad was officially created by the Monterey County Board of Supervisors, upgrading the settlement into an official town following the footsteps of Catalina Munras. And whereas Catalina Munras developed the land of Rancho San Vicente, establishing the first school, first church, first cemetery, the Southern Pacific Railway terminal station, Los Coches Adobe, and the post office, the roots of a community that would grow in strength, character, and shared purpose for the generations. And whereas in conjunction with Catalina Munras, the early settlers of the Township of Soledad laid the foundation for a thriving municipality through their perseverance, vision, and commitment to building a place where families, businesses, and civic life could flourish. And whereas for 150 years, the Township of Soledad was continued to evolve, embracing progress while honoring the traditions, culture, and heritage that define its identity. Now, thereof, let it be resolved that the City Council of the City of Soledad does hereby proclaim February 6th as the founding day of the City of Soledad in honor of its establishment on February 6, 1876, and encourage all residents to join in celebrating our community's enduring legacy and bright future. Thank you for Soledad Historical Society for the tremendous efforts in bringing history to life.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I say something?
Yes.
This will be quick. We're doing a 2-year celebration at the museum. The first, and it'll be 2 separate displays, each up for about a year. The first one starts with the local Native Californians and goes up to about 1900. So we cover the ranchos, the explorers, early ag, the Salvation Army colony, and then the second year we'll do from about 1900 forward. We're hoping to have a grand opening in March. Right now, we're getting our first graders through the our display, a different display. So I hope to see you there. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. We'll wait until the end. So Mr. Stevens, don't leave because we wait until the end. We'll make sure that after we're done with all the proclamations, we'll pause for a bit to take photos. Okay. Okay, so with that, we'll move on to our next proclamation. And it's a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Soledad in recognition of January 15th, 2026 as No es un engaño, las pesticidas hacen daño. So that translates into, it is not, let me say engaño in Spanish.
A lie.
Harm. It is not what? Harm.
You can say a lie. It's not
A lie. Oh, it is not a lie. Thank you. It is not a lie. Pesticides are dangerous and harmful. So thank you, Councilmember Cabrera, for that. So with that, then I know we have some members of Líderes Campesinas that are here. Alba Aguilar, Juan Ramirez, but I see Mari, I see many others. So if you guys want to come, ¿quieren venir para enfrente para dar la proclamación?
through the chair. If you want to make a rhyme, it is not a lie. Pesticides harm.
Okay, it is not a lie. Pesticides harm. It's better. Okay, so I will take this over to Mayor Pro Tem. You want to read the proclamation?
Sure. We have to. Oh, it's in Spanish. Okay.
Oh, it's in Spanish.
Oh, do you want?
No, I'm good.
Oh,
Do you want?
Cabrera to read?
Yeah.
Yeah, let him read it.
Yeah.
I can try. Okay.
You're being recorded.
Okay, so it's okay. Council, okay, let's move. Point of order.
Maybe not.
Okay.
Are we good? Okay.
Yes.
Una proclamación en honra del mes de la concientización sobre los pesticidas. Considerando que el bienestar de nuestros residentes, la protección de nuestros recursos naturales y la salud de nuestros ecosistemas locales son prioridades para la ciudad de Soledad. Y considerando que el uso de pesticidas sintéticos puede tener impactos significativos en la calidad del agua, la salud del suelo y la biodiversidad, incluyendo a los polinizadores esenciales para nuestra región agrícola, y considerando que la exposición a ciertos productos químicos puede representar riesgos para la salud pública, especialmente para los niños, las mascotas y los trabajadores del campo, quienes son la columna vertebral de nuestra comunidad. Y considerando que la educación y la participación ciudadana son clave para implementar prácticas de jardinería y agricultura responsables que protejan nuestro entorno compartido. Por tanto, el Consejo Municipal de la Ciudad de Soledad proclama el mes de febrero del 2026 como mes de la concientización sobre los pesticidas en la Ciudad de Soledad. Inste a todos los ciudadanos, empresas y departamentos municipales a informarse sobre el uso responsable de productos químicos y a adoptar prácticas de mantenimiento de tierras que prioricen la salud de nuestra comunidad y nuestro medio ambiente.
Thank you. Now we're gonna have to translate that. Just kidding.
A proclamation in honor.
Madam Mayor, I have it here in English. If you want me to read it in English, I can do that.
Yes, can you please?
Yes, of course. A proclamation in honor of Pesticide Awareness Month. Whereas the well-being of our residents, the protection of our natural resources, and the health of our local ecosystems are fundamental priorities for the city of Soledad. And whereas the use of synthetic pesticides can have significant impacts on water quality, soil health, and biodiversity, including pollinators essential to our agriculture region, and where areas exposure to certain chemicals can pose a risk to public health, especially for children, pets, and farm workers who are the backbone of our community. And whereas education and citizens' participation are key to implementing responsible gardening and farming practices that protect our shared environment. Therefore, the City Council of City of Soledad proclaims the month of February 2026 as Pesticide Awareness Month in the city of Soledad and urges all citizens, businesses, and municipal departments to learn about the responsible use of chemicals and to adopt land maintenance practices that prioritize the health of our community and our environment.
Thank you. Thank you for the translation. So muchas gracias a líderes campesinas que están con nosotros. Si quieren decir unas cuantas palabras.
Sí, claro que sí. Queremos dar las gracias y pues buenas tardes, alcalde, a miembros del concilio y personas que nos acompañan. Mi nombre es Alba Aguilar y venimos en representación del Comité de Líderes Campesinas de Soledad y con mis compañeras aquí presentes. Hoy pues les agradecemos profundamente al alcalde Ana Velázquez y los miembros del concilio de la ciudad de Soledad por esta proclamación, porque pues no solo nos reconoce nuestro trabajo, sino la lucha, la voz y la dignidad de nuestra comunidad. Todo lo que hacemos nace pensando en la comunidad, en las madres, en los padres, en los trabajadores del campo y sobre todo en nuestros hijos. Promover la educación y la concientización sobre el uso responsable de pesticidas es un acto de amor y de justicia. Es defender la salud, la vida y el futuro de quienes sostienen nuestros campos con su trabajo, que son los campesinos. Gracias. Gracias por escucharnos, por creer en nuestra causa y por caminar junto a nosotros para construir una comunidad más saludable, más humana y con esperanza para las próximas generaciones. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Alba.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Mayor Ana Velázquez and City Council. Thank you. My name is Alba Aguilar, and we're here with Líderes Campesinas de Soledad. And I want to deeply thank you for all that you've done, especially Mayor Ana Velázquez for proclaiming this month and acknowledging our work that we do. This is something that it's not only justice, it is something that is raising awareness for all of us, for the mothers, for the fathers, for the people that work in the fields. This education and awareness, it is an act of love, of justice, because this provides health. This defends our health, our life, and our future generations. Thank you for acknowledging our work, for acknowledging all the farm workers, for listening to us and walking with us. It is an honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Gracias, Alba, y gracias a todas ustedes líderes que están aquí con nosotros. Gracias. So with that, we're going to pause for a bit. Vamos a hacer una pausa para tomarnos retratos. Okay. So let's pause for a few, council, and then we'll be right back.
Move
So,
that off,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to our next item, and just as a matter of note, we're not having the presentation on the Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority, so apologize for that being on here. We will move into our consent items. So at this time, we have 10 consent items. So do any members of the council wish to pull an item from the consent calendar for discussion or comment? And I wish to pull item 4. Okay, do any members of our public wish to pull an item from the consent calendar for discussion or comment? Okay, let me just make sure I'm going to the public. Diego, I don't see any hands raised, correct? Okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, so with that then, council, if there's no, I do have comments on it, so if I'll entertain a motion to approve item C1 with the exception, C1 to C10 with the exception of C4.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, so on the comments for item C4, the economic development, I just want to say thank you for all the updates on economic development. But I do have a couple of questions in terms of, I know that it appears that we issued our loan, and I think that was a final funding that we had under that specific program. And so just wanted to confirm if that's the last portion of the funding that we had under our CDBG loan program. And then I also wanted to request information, maybe not now, Beatriz, but just wanting to ensure that our residents know, I mean, that there's been a lot of support to our small businesses, and what is the total list of all the loans that have been awarded? And then how many have been, I know we have a few that had been in default, and I don't know if default is a correct word, but wanting to make sure that we have, the community has an opportunity to be able to look at the loans awarded and then any of those in defaults. And so those are a couple of my questions.
Yes, we did have a few business owners who fell behind on their payments. That was addressed last year, and most of them were brought up to compliance. My understanding is that we had one who needed a little bit of extra support, and we created a payment plan for them. And then the second one started making payments and started struggling financially again. So we're working with that second person to see if we can reduce the payment for a limited amount of time, or if we have to create some type of agreement for them to maybe stop payments for a couple of months and then resume payments. We just want these loans. The idea is to support the businesses. We try to work with the business owners, but of course, we also need to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and that we're recovering the funds that we are lending out. With regards of how many business, from the top of my head, I don't remember how many loans we have, but that's definitely something that I can include in. It can be in the next activity report, or we can also do a presentation just as an update of the loans that we have provided the last year or the last few years.
Yeah, thank you, Beatriz. I think that would be great. I know we've done a lot in the Economic Development Department, has done a lot in terms of the loans and the grants under the CDBG portion. So I think an update to the community where we're at with that would be great, especially because it has gone back to the investment in our community.
And through the chair, I did want to just make note that no loans are in default.
Okay, so we don't have loans in default.
No, we have the ability to help, as Beatrice explained, with the timing of the payments, but we're actually, compared to other revolving loan programs, we have a very responsible applicants who have been paying, even if their businesses have been, having to pivot or whatever. So
yes. We did have a few that fell behind on their payment, but they did, when we followed up, they were interested in coming up with an alternative plan while they catch up on their finances.
Okay. And then the pot of money where they pay into, it's a revolving loan, so we're able to support other businesses.
Yes, that's part of our program income. So any money that we gain from the interest on these loans, which is a very low interest, but any money that the city makes out of these loans, it goes into our program income, and the council can decide what eligible activity we can assign this funding to.
Thank you for that. And my last is just, I know that there was on the report a mention of the Holiday Inn, that they're still in the permitting process. I know that we've been, hopeful that they can go through the permitting process. And just wanted to understand if it's anything that we can do, what are some of the issues? Is it just more on the permitting side for them, to be able to support that to move forward?
Yes, it's more than the permitting side. They needed to submit plans, and we did provide a letter on the things that they were pending. We can definitely provide more support in making sure that they understand our request, and just do more of a proactive follow-up, just to make sure that they understand what we required.
Thank you. I think that would be great. Okay, thank you. So those were just my questions that I had under that report. So really appreciate the detail on that. So, okay,
Thank you.
council. So with that, then I will make a motion to approve item C, council to approve consent item C4. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Great. Okay, so we'll move on then to our next item on our agenda, which is a public hearing. So today we have public hearing number 1, waiver of reading. So sorry, waiver of reading, adoption, and read by title only, ordinance number 776. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Soledad amending various sections of Title 17 zoning of the Soledad Municipal Code to incorporate new regulations pertaining to allowable uses, and ordinance number 778, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Soledad amending Chapter 17.39 density bonus of Title 17 zoning of the Soledad Municipal Code to incorporate new regulations pertaining to the state law and implementation of the Soledad 6th cycle of housing element to the City Council of the City of Soledad. So we will have the staff report, and I will open up the public hearing. We'll take comments and questions, and we'll close the public hearing, and then we'll bring it back to the council. Okay, so with that, I will turn over the floor to Ariana to provide us with a presentation.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Good afternoon. I'll be doing a presentation for consideration of adoption for the proposed zoning amendments.
And through the chair, since council had the same presentation when the item was introduced, what I might just clarify is we did receive a letter from an organization, Cal HDF, that was only pertaining to ordinance number 777 about accessory dwelling units. That item is not part of this package. We will continue, or we will bring that item back for introduction because we will have to make amendments to that, and then it'll have a second reading. Today, we're only looking at 776 and 778. So I might ask Ariana, if you, looking at the presentation online, it also talks about 777. So maybe if you could just give the brief highlights of 776 and 778. So to jog the council's memory, but you don't have to do as extensive of a discussion as we did at the last point.
Yes, that's correct. I wanted to address that on the next slide. I believe we're in 2 slides left or later. So again, the overview of these proposed amendments is really to comply with our housing element. We received REAP 2.0 funding to help with that, which included a lot of rezoning work, increasing densities, and seeing where we're able to produce or align our code to help us produce more housing units. The ordinances, just to recap, were first introduced on December 17th, 2025, and were continued due to the public comment letter provided by Cal HDFA. And as Megan mentioned, we are not moving forward with ordinance number 777 at this time. It'll be noticed for introduction and adoption at a later time. That for right now is to bring it back at the next council meeting for review and consideration of adoption. So really briefly here, we have ordinance number 776. This ordinance is amending allowable uses and general zoning amendments. And specifically, it provides various codes updates, regarding allowable uses such as reasonable accommodation. It makes it, it removes some specific findings. It makes it easier for those that are requesting for reasonable accommodation, have a less of a strict barrier to become accommodated for housing opportunities. We're also amending allowable uses such as residential care facilities, which are now permitted in all zoning districts. Emergency shelters now have to comply with an SB2 process for faster and clearer process. And then condominiums are now permitted by right in all residential zoning districts, as we've discussed before, where before they needed a CUP. And the last proposed amendments for ordinance number 776 is density changes, where now we're increasing some of the density changes in the R2 zone. And then in the R1 standards, we are changing our lot sizes from 6,000 to 5,000 square feet to promote small lot subdivision, which is becoming a more popular here in Soledad, and it goes with our housing needs as well. The second ordinance being introduced today for consideration of adoption is the density bonus ordinance. Again, this aligns with program 2.24 of the housing element, which directs the city to adopt and maintain a density bonus provision consistent with state density bonus law. This provides clarification on processes and definitions, such as providing a clear affordable unit definition, what is very low income households, and again, senior housing, and defining those terms specifically with the density bonus program. Moreover, it establishes clear processes, again, and concessions and incentives, and it defines eligibility criteria for mixed-use developments and land donation projects. The last proposed amendment is improving transparency and consistency. It includes references tables to summarize the low density bonuses based on the applications that we received, and it also ensures consistent and again implementation of state law. As mentioned in the previous meetings where we introduced these ordinances, this is mostly following our housing element that was recently approved and adopted by the city council, but it also conforms with our general plan, again, needing to maintain a good inventory of housing units, making sure we see what policies we're able to update to keep a balanced housing in Soledad. And at this time, staff is requesting approval of ordinance number 776 and 778 as presented, or with any formatting adjustments as needed. And for CEQA, the proposed amendments conform with the EIR, the addendum to the EIR of the general plan that was recently approved through the housing element. So those findings are made throughout the staff report. Therefore, no further environmental analysis is needed at this time. And that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you. Thank you, Ariana, for that. I know we've gone through this a couple of times, so thank you so much. So with that, let me open up the public hearing. So let's do that. Okay, so I will open up this public hearing at 7:10, and then let me take it out to the public to see if there's any members of the public that wish to comment or have questions on public hearing number 1. And I'll start with anyone, with those that are here in our council chambers. Okay, seeing none, then I will take it out to those that are joining us via Zoom. If there's any comments on public hearing number 1, resolution 776, or ordinance number 776 and ordinance number 778. Okay, so I'm seeing no hands that are raised. So then at this time, then I will close our public hearing at 7:10. And I will bring it back to the council for council action or questions. So before we take action, any comments or questions? And I'll start with Councilwoman Buñuelos.
Comment, Ariana, thank you again for the presentation and just the detail of it. Question is just the housing element, correct? The housing units only? Okay. So if, I know,
someone's gonna ask me, and how can I explain this to my fellow residents and my friends, what's the next step for the housing?
So the proposed amendments we're considering tonight for approval is helping us meet our housing goals as proposed in the housing element. So our housing element is really kind of like the goal, the document that sets our housing goals of what we should do as a city to help meet our regional housing need allocation number, which is about 724, I think.
Yeah, 720.
724. So we need to do 724 housing units by 2031. And a lot of the barriers can interfere with our policies that we currently have. And then there's state law that is coming in to help us streamline housing, whether it's permitting or creating housing programs, funding, and things like that. So our housing element really defines all that, aside from the statistics of where we should focus housing programs and what the goals of the city are to meet those number of units. So at the end of the day, it just meets our housing goals and conforming with state law.
And I know that they'll probably ask, well, what about traffic? But we'll talk about that later when that happens. But there's always going to be traffic everywhere.
Yeah. So when new projects come up, that's when we get to analyze the specifics of the project.
Thank you.
Councilmember Cabrera?
Yes, two questions, basically. Thank you so much for all the work and the details in this report. The first is, is this for the whole city?
Yeah, so this is a city policy. Conforming majority of it, honestly, is coming from state law that we just have to keep our policies updated based on the current needs of the state and housing.
Now, how would this affect Miramonte? Or if any?
So in general, Miramonte has to comply with the specific plan that was already adopted.
Okay.
Anything else beyond that, then it just depends on the concept, I guess, at that time.
And just to add through the chair, like we're implementing state density bonus law, and they will Miramonte will also be subject to that regulations.
It's not like they are in agreement with the previous. They have to
there's some things that the specific plan would lock in, and I'll defer to Mike, but my understanding regarding density bonus law is that it's layered on top of.
Okay. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Saldo Sanchez?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to this because of the change to the square footage. I've been talking about wanting to have smaller lot homes, hopefully ease the price since housing is increasing. And I'm also curious to know, will this cover, or is it like we're allowed to build multiple stories up to 3, correct, still? Is this part of this or is this different?
No, so the big change when it comes to property development standards is just density for the R2 zoning district, where I think it went from, so it was set at a minimum density of 9 dwelling units per acre to not exceed 22. Actually, no, it sets a minimum where before it was just 12 density units or 12 dwelling units per acre. So now we're setting a minimum that in an R2 zone, you have to build at least 9 dwelling units per acre, where before there was no minimum and it just gave you a max. But eventually, we are still working on our general plan update that will address some of those situations where we want to increase the number of stories that we allow to build here in Soledad. So that's something, again, throughout the outreach of this general plan update, we've heard and we're trying to prioritize in that document.
Got it. And then we are now increasing it from 12 to 22 to be the maximum.
Yeah.
So then that would bring that conversation, hopefully with multiple stories, a lot more.
Yeah, and through the chair, in our housing element, we already have that as a action that we would take, which would be to increase the height limitation to 3 stories. But unfortunately, we were hoping that we could approve that through these or different updates, but it will require more environmental work. So that's why it will track with the general plan and the zoning updates with that, because we didn't want to delay all of these other good things because of that. So we are working on it. It's just on a different track because it will require more deeper environmental review.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Diana. I just have a clarification on 776. Condominiums are permitted. Is that like from existing lots, or is that like a new project?
It would be for new projects, new construction projects. So typically condominiums were allowed, let's say there's an empty lot and condominiums can be proposed as a construction project. They would have to go through a conditional use permit, which would require coming to the planning commission, and then you're removing that extra step of coming to the planning commission, where now all the technical review would be staying at an administrative level to help reduce and streamline those housing units. Housing unit project, yeah.
Thank
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ariane, for the presentation. Obviously, there are some of this that we don't have control over because it's state law. So we're changing our ordinances to ensure that we're in compliance with state law. But one of the things that I'm excited about is both 776 and 778 are in alignment with the housing element that we developed and whether we approved. And so it's exciting to be able to see that we're going to be able to provide more homeownership opportunities, condos, especially under the improved access for people with disabilities. I think that's really important. We are an inclusive city, and we keep saying we want to make sure we meet the housing needs of all. So I'm excited that that's included as part of the 778 under the density bonus. And I think for me, the only thing, obviously, because there's a lot of changes under state law that we track as a city, like especially because we're making a lot of these changes based on state law and mandates. But if we can track, because a lot of this is really to support and stimulate the production of fast housing, right? Because the state realized there is a housing shortage and a housing need. But I think as a city, if we can really track, like after these changes for that, we won't probably see it till the next couple of years, but did all of this modification in terms of our ordinances, did it really help us to produce more housing that's equitable, and also housing that is produced more expediently?
No, that's a great point, because I think one of our next tasks is to bring our housing annual progress report to the council in March, which we will bring back what we've state law tells us to adopt, plus our housing element programs. Where are we meeting those goals, and what has been the end result of that? So, we've been, I think, really successful with some housing programs last year, and we will be presenting that to the council in more detail when we present the housing annual progress report next month.
Good. Well, thank you. I think it's important to track and also present it to our legislators, right? That some of these state mandates, some people could say, hey, we want local control. Obviously we do. But if some of these state mandates are really producing some of that housing, I think it's important for us to share those. So thank you. Okay, council. So with that, then I will entertain a motion to.
I move to waive the reading, adoption, and read by title only ordinance number 776 and ordinance number 778.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much, Ariana, and I think you are going to stay there for the next one.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so we have another public hearing today as well, and this is also a carryover from prior public hearings that we have. This is public hearing number 2, waiver of reading, adoption, and read by title only, ordinance 774. ordinance of the City Council of the City of Soledad, amending the downtown specific plan, section 2.0, zones of chapter 5.0, development code in chapter 10.0, definitions to establish separate veterinary services and animal boarding uses, and to conditionally allow small-scale veterinary services in the downtown core district. So we will present again as part of our public hearing process. We will present the report. We will open up the public hearing for comments, and then we will bring it back to the council for recommendations. So with that, I will turn it over to Ariana.
Thank you. I'll be doing a brief presentation on the proposed downtown specific plan amendment for veterinary services and animal boarding uses. As an overview, this came before to the City Council on October 15, 2025, where we seek direction to see if we're able to amend our specific plan to help provide space for animal vet services. And we got the okay from the council at that time, and we move forward to explore options of what type of amendments we can do and provide recommendations back to council. This provides a clear land use distinction for veterinary related services and efforts to expand opportunities for small scale appointment-based veterinary care in downtown Soledad. I think we all know it's not a surprise that we do have a big gap, a service gap for veterinary services, and that is a goal of the city to provide those services to our residents in South County. Therefore, we proposed the ordinance that we are presenting tonight. As I mentioned, we are proposing the ordinance with minor adjustments to any of, again, the editing of the ordinance. I think this is the third meeting that we're reviewing the ordinance. So after that, we would work towards implementation if approved. In summary, we, as I mentioned, identified a service gap in the city. As community needs change, we want to ensure that the downtown specific plan continues to support those essential services. Vet clinics are currently prohibited in the downtown core district, not in the downtown specific area, but I just want to clarify it's just a specific district, as a downtown specific plan has 5 of them. And the only veterinary clinic in Soledad was closed. Therefore, there's really no services available besides those that are temporary uses that maybe other nonprofit organizations collaborate with the city on to use some of the city public spaces for them to provide those drop-off services. Current challenges are that, again, within those districts, only one of those districts does not allow those veterinary services. In the Gateway District, it's allowed with a minor use permit, and I'll get into detail where these districts are. A minor use permit, pretty much you can apply and get it issued administratively, but we still have to notice it out. And if there's a community member who doesn't agree with the proposed findings, then we can take it to a planning commission hearing. Same thing as a railroad corridor in Monterey. And the difference between those two and the other 2 districts is that Monterey Street District is allowed with the conditional use permit, which would trigger a planning commission hearing right away with the CUP approval. And again, within the downtown core district, those services are currently prohibited. The purpose and community benefits. So we want to improve access to basic pet health care. And again, one of the goals that the city wants to implement is accessibility to those services. We want to reduce the need for residents to travel outside of the city and keep those businesses and services within Soledad. And again, just support public health and animal welfare, which I believe it's the most important thing in the direction that we received from the council during the October meeting. And then how does this comply with our general plan? Well, our general plan does talk about having an appropriate balance between residential and employment generating uses. And we believe this is something that will help keep here in Soledad. You keep those services, you keep your community here. Ensure adequate commercial land meets present and future needs of residents. As we grow as a community, we need to assess really what our services, what services are needed and how can us as city and policy and what policies can we provide to help reduce those gaps. It also encourages the attraction and retention of commercial tenants in undersupplied sectors. Although this is not really a retail use, but it still helps provide an undersupplied service that we don't have here in Soledad. And then here is a downtown specific plan that I mentioned that we have those 5 districts. Right now, with this proposed amendment, it was only focusing on the downtown core district, which is the red. That's the only amendment being proposed tonight to change. And I already briefly mentioned about the proposed uses, what they mean. And if the uses are SP, they're just generally processed administratively. MUPs and CUPs, again, require additional review and possible public hearing through the Planning Commission. And then these are the proposed amendments that we are considering tonight, or the council is considering tonight. As you can see, the underlined is what it will be changing. That includes the uses. Before, veterinary clinics and animal boarding and daycare services were all considered under one use. We're ultimately taking that out and separating to create 3 different types of uses. So you will have animal boarding and daycare, veterinary clinic, and then veterinary services with limited treatment, which is what will be impacted within the downtown core as a minor use permit. Everything else stays the same. And because the uses have been separated, we have to change those districts accordingly. Then because we're changing separating the uses, we also have to separate the definitions. The definitions were provided to the council and the Planning Commission for review and consideration. At the last meeting, we received that direction and modification to the definition. And we provided the definition in the staff report as well as here in the presentation, where we try to be more specific to household animals only to limit those treatments, and limit from having farm animals or livestock to be be treated within the veterinary services.
Ariana, just a question on those, because this is part of the modifications that were requested the last time from the council. So it's just including those modifications that we discussed already and the definitions to clarify what type of animals, right? 'Cause
Yes.
we wanted to make sure there was a distinction.
Yes, and in addition to the animals, also about the short-term stays and long-term stays as well, which is what's being proposed right now at the screen. It defines what short-term refers as short-term stays, which is mostly for animal daycare and boarding services, and then long-term boarding for extended stays beyond a week, where animals are housed on site for consecutive days. So it does provide that definition or those definitions to make it more specific on that as well. And at last, again, at this time, staff is recommending consideration of recommending approval of the proposed ordinance with any proposed, again, edits within the ordinance. For our environmental review, we found that it qualifies as a categorical exemption, as it only consists to the text change, resulting in allowable land uses and definitions. Upon adoption, the ordinance becomes into effect within 30 days after council approval. And at this time, I conclude my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Ariana, for all the information. I know we have gone through it several times, but appreciate all the changes stated clearly here. So with that, I will open up the public hearing, and then again, will be the same process. Then I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the council for questions, and then final considerations. So at this time, I will open up the public hearing at 7:30. So do we have any members of the public that are joining us here in our council chambers that wish to make any comments or questions in regards to public hearing number 2? Okay, seeing none, then I will take it out to those that are joining us via Zoom to see if there's any comments or questions from our audience that is our residents that is joining us via Zoom. Okay,
Hi,
and
good
I see
evening.
Scott.
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Ariana, and good evening, council members. last time I spoke to the council was back in October, and I mentioned that or explained how the SPCA would like to offer much needed services to South County. I gave a little bit of information about our long-term goal, and that is to create our own facility, to buy land, create a facility, and to really have it be a smaller version of our current campus on Highway 68 in Salinas. And we greatly appreciate the council and staff considering our proposal, and that is more of a short-term plan to provide what we consider the most critical services to South County residents by leasing a space in downtown Soledad. And our idea, in case you didn't follow it last time, was to lease the office space and to bring our mobile spay-neuter clinic and park it next to the space. And we would offer 2 clinics per week, 2 spay-neuter clinics per week, and 1 other offering each week, and that would either be a vaccination clinic or a wellness clinic. And the wellness clinic is basically people bringing their animals in and having our vets take a look and give a basic exam and help people understand what issues their pets might have and help them address those. This would all be flexible. We may see that the wellness clinics are in more demand than the spay-neuter clinics, or the vaccination clinics are in more demand than one or the other, and we can play with those a little bit. But our idea would be to be offering 3 things each week. Again, that's our short-term approach, and these would all be low-cost services. The spay-neuter services for cats would always be the same, and those would be $25. I'm sorry, the rates for cats would be $50, and the spay-neuter rates for dogs would range from $145 to $190. Core vaccinations would be $25 each, and wellness exams would be $45. I also mentioned in October that we were going to be looking at other options too. We didn't know if this would be approved, and we still wanted to move forward with our plans. And since that time, we were presented an offer of land also in South County, but not in Soledad. And we are, I'm not sure how to say it, we are pursuing the idea of purchasing that land. You know, a lot can happen. I can't really give odds as to if that is going to happen or not, but we should know about that in the next 2 to 4 weeks. And if we are able to purchase that land, that would essentially become our short-term plan and our long-term plan. We would offer these same services on that land temporarily until we can build a facility.
Scott,
So that's a little bit of new news since I spoke to the council in October. And with that, are there any questions?
Thank you, Scott. I think we're gonna hold off on any questions related to that specific topic, since that's not we are not considering that for approval tonight. We are looking at the ordinance and making sure that we're approving that specific ordinance. But thank you for the update on where you're at, and
Sure, you're welcome.
yeah, hopefully it works out.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, any other comments from those that are joining us via Zoom? Okay, see no hands raised, then okay, seeing no hands raised, then I will close the public comment period, and I will close it at 7:35. And then I will bring it then back to the council for questions, and if we can make sure the questions are pertinent to the specific ordinance that's before us. So I will start with Councilmember Caldera. If there's any questions or comments, if none, we can just move on.
Thank you, Ariana. Actually, I don't have any questions. Pretty much explained it.
Mhm.
Thank you.
No problem. Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalo Sanchez?
Yeah, so just for clarity, we are amending the downtown core for minor use permit.
Correct.
And that's it.
Yes.
That's all I needed.
Okay, Councilmember Cabrera?
Actually, what are you guys I'm looking at, I'm thinking about, what else can we do, once we start this? Is there any chance that we can have some form of education for our residents or guidance, or maybe even some workshops so they can be able to take care of their pets or something that in that, yes, so we can establish better relationship between us and the residents. So I've been in some of those clinics and they wait, and some of them, a couple of them have animals that are really not quiet and they're very excited. So maybe, and because of me, I think that we need a little bit of education how to treat our pets and how to educate them as well.
No, definitely. I think the amendment that we're proposing right now is it's helping to create more animal services throughout Soledad. But once those services come in, we can definitely look into ways of collaborating with those nonprofit organizations that come into the city, and you know, engage with them on community efforts for education. And as it was mentioned, I think one of the goals besides offering services is also wellness clinics to help train the animals, as well as providing educational resources to the community.
Okay, so do you have?
Just
through the
Okay, hold on, Megan. Give me that. Councilmember Cabrera
So,
finish.
Scott, I think I heard you saying that, or I don't know if it was you, but is there any possibility that you mentioned that to be like kind of like a little office, a small office?
So, yeah, Councilmember Cabrera, apologize, but so tonight, and I know, Scott, you brought up a discussion, but that's not on our agenda tonight, and I just want to be cautious that we're not discussing anything related to I mean, obviously, we're changing the ordinance, but just so we can stay on the ordinance and we're not discussing another agenda topic that is not agendized for tonight. I just want to be cautious with that. I'll defer to you, City Attorney, because I know Scott has his hand up, but I don't want to get into a discussion about services when we're talking about ordinance.
I guess staff can correct me if I'm wrong, but to some extent, this ordinance is driven by the potential for service from the SPCA, correct?
Yes.
So it is relevant to the subject matter we have before us. The ordinance is to address this proposal that we had from the SPCA, the desire to move into this downtown core, correct? So I think questions about that are questions about whether or not that's actually going to happen, I think, are relevant. Questions that are sort of a little bit broader in terms of what additional sources and services you could bring. That's probably a little bit outside the scope of what we're discussing here today.
And then
and I don't mean to cut you off.
No, it's fine.
If you have a question and you want to reframe it, or if you have, I mean, it's hard for me to tell exactly where you were going with that question. So
yeah, no, it's fine. Let's focus in the in
ordinance.
what we're looking at in the ordinance. Yeah, that's fine.
So yeah, through the chair, one thing that I thought I heard Scott say, and I just want to make sure that the council understands this, and then it may change your decision or not change your decision, but I'm understanding that the SPCA, if this alternative works out, may not be moving to the site. So the question then becomes, if we move forward with this change, do we want to? You know, it's not specific to the SPCA. It could be for any veterinarian services coming forward. But if that was sort of the intention, I heard Scott say that maybe or may not, it may or may not be necessary. And that might be something you want to illuminate to help your decision making.
Through the chair, if everything is focused in the ordinance, then how many questions can we ask about approving or disapproving the ordinance? I mean, to be realistic, if everything is by the ordinance, we could just say yes or no. Can we approve it? Yes. So what else can we,
Well,
can we ask?
let me clarify.
And-
So just so it's clear, so
Yeah,
the question before the council tonight is whether or not they want to make a change to the code that would
Mhm.
allow services such as the SPCA. So there was a perceived need to bring animal services, small animal services to a greater population in the city. And so that's what this ordinance will accomplish. But this was somewhat driven by the fact that the SPCA had approached the city and asked if they could move into a location in the downtown core. And we decided they could not unless we made this particular change to the ordinance. So the question that really the city has before it is, do we want to open up the opportunity for services such as this, not necessarily the SPCA, but in the downtown core, or do we want to hold off on making a change until there's a specific need driven by a particular service provider?
Yeah, but how can we know if there's a specific need if we don't present questions about? You know, because I could say yes, because I need some, but if the public doesn't think so, then.
Where we haven't heard any objection, at least, right, to the concept of opening up the downtown core to these types of services, right? So, so I'm not sure exactly what other questions you would want to ask. And maybe that's your point, right?
Yeah, there is not much that we can say. So about the same thing, like 5 different versions of the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, so the question before us, council, now is a little bit different. So Mike, I need your guidance and Megan's guidance in terms of how we move forward, because I know I had a lot of concerns about opening up this. I know we need this kind of facility, but in the downtown core where we're really supporting other types of retail and commercial. But it was being considered obviously because there was an interest. And so if that interest may not be possible, then I think, you know, what Megan was trying to say is the council before us is, do we want to take action on this to allow it? Because if we approve it, then that's going to allow anyone that wants to come forth in the future with any kind of services that are in the ordinance, specific to the ordinance. Or do we want to wait until we actually know that we have a provider that is going to provide these kind of services, and then we can bring back the discussion. So those are the two questions before us. I think that's what I heard. And so I'm asking guidance from Mike and Megan, because I want to be clear with what we are presented. What are our options? So we're not spinning our wheels trying to figure it out.
So the ordinance that you have before you is not specifically based only on the SPCA. It's to open the opportunity for this type of service to come into the downtown core. It is driven though by the possibility that, I mean, that's what happened was in October, somebody expressed an interest to do it. Everyone saw that there was an opportunity. And so in order to facilitate that, we had to make a change to the ordinance. And that's what's before you this evening. So you have a choice to make. You could decide no, given the fact that the SPCA has indicated that this may not be something they're going to do, that you don't want to move forward with it, or you could essentially decide, no, we've already identified it. We haven't heard any public objection. It's still a good idea in concept. We want to be ready in the future if somebody comes in and is willing to provide these types of services. And the only way that you can do that now is to go ahead and move forward with the ordinance change that you have before.
Okay.
But just because the SPCA has indicated they may not be coming does not mean that you can't move forward with it.
But I think through the chair, we just wanted to make that clear to help aid you in your decision making.
Right. That was news to us. That's the
Yeah.
first time that we heard that on the staff. So
Okay, well, thank you for that. So then let me open it up, then we'll go. So we have questions here. I'll move on to Councilwoman Bañuelos. Any comments or questions?
Ariana, let me ask you a question. I know a lot of people talk to me. Okay, so let's just say if we move forward with 774,
Mhm.
What do I tell, the residents? What do I say to them? That there's gonna be services with SPCA or,
So it's not
no,
approving,
not SPCA, but any other services?
it's not it's approving the type of use that is allowed within the downtown area. Well, let me make that clear. It's a minor use permit, so it still can be done at an administrative level, but they now have to meet specific findings as a conditional use permit. But instead of taking it to a planning commission approval process, we get to make that determination and notice it out to the community. And if there's major concerns that the public needs to be involved in, then it comes to a planning commission hearing for a scheduled public hearing. So that's the process for the type of use. The use itself has to go through that process that I explained in order to get approved and go into the specific property that it's within that zoning district in the red area of the map in the downtown zone area.
Okay, I say this and I thank you for repeating it because I know that they need to understand that. I understand that, but I wanted you to repeat that for, just for the public. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Point of information. So, and I already asked something. So now with all these changes going on, if we are to change, to accept the ordinance, that means that if a different group wants to provide veterinary services, say on like Front Street, they would still have to go through staff first. Staff would then have to approve or disapprove, and then they would be able to move forward. But it wouldn't come back to the planning commission. It wouldn't come back to the council. So then if the staff say yes, but we like say no, because our vision, right, for Front Street isn't necessarily to have veterinary services, but to have different sort of economic development, maybe like restaurants, other stores and stuff like that. But it would be at the discretion of staff.
So when an application comes in, we would review it and make those findings that the location is adequate for that type of service. And then we still have to notice it throughout the surrounding neighborhood area. If someone says or wants to go against the decision, then we then take it to a planning commission meeting for a public hearing, and then they address their concerns at that time.
So you ask, like, say I own a business, you would ask me as a business owner if I'm okay with a veterinary service.
You would need to notice it within a 300-foot radius of the location. Yeah. And then they would get a notice of the proposed decision. And if there's no objections to that decision, then it gets approved with the proposed conditions, because as staff, we are able to provide conditions to help mitigate any potential impacts to the surrounding neighborhood area, whether it's noise, traffic, parking, et cetera. But again, it really depends on the location. It's based on location based and the types of use services. And this goes with a lot of different uses, not just veterinary uses in their downtown specific plan. But in particular, because we're amending it from a prohibited use in our downtown core, we're taking it to the next step where it could be done as a minor use permit instead of a permitted use, where anyone can go in and just establish the use without any staff review of the potential health or safety issues that could cause in the surrounding area.
From my thought process before we found out that information, I was okay moving forward because it would have been for something that's not specifically directly on Front Street. But now that we're kind of new information that it may or may not happen, I am now concerned. Wouldn't want it to be on Front Street. But so
and
I'm a little confused.
through the chair, it had, if the council moves forward, I don't think there's any restrictions on the number of. So it's possible that even if this project moved forward, someone else could pop up and want to move to Front Street.
Got it.
So.
Thank you. So I know for me, I had concerns the last time when we went through the ordinance. And I know it's in our downtown core, and there was, I think, the viability of having someone fill the need that we know because of the closure of our veterinary services that we know it's obviously a need. The services are still going to happen because we still have we're still committed to providing and working with, you know, whether it's SPCA or others, to be able to bring those wellness services, the spay and neuter services. So I want to make that clear that that's going to happen regardless. But I do have a concern, and for me, it was a prohibited use. The downtown core, I know we've gone through like 100 pages of our vision, a plan for downtown. And it really is to really invigorate and invite some of those uses of other amenities needed. And not that this isn't needed, but I think for me, the preference is that it's not in our downtown core, that it is in the other perimeters, as was, I think, intended when, you know, prior councils approved the downtown specific plan, to ensure that we really had that viability of the commercial section, and that we really look at our cities and the planning of the city to make sure that we're really putting in the uses that are in alignment with one another. I was going to say, if this moved forward, that I wanted to track complaints of the residents and what that was going to do, because it is a very different use in our downtown than what we've had in the past. So I would not, then with that, I would not be in favor of moving forward at this time until we actually have something that's more viable, because we're amending a plan to be able to open it up for future in our downtown specific plan, when we've already identified it being commercial, it being, you know, for other amenities, restaurants, things that we've identified that we really want to see our residents, you know, engage in. So that's, you know, council, for me, that's the way I feel at this moment, given additional information about that. Oh, Councilmember Caldera, did I miss you?
I
No, you
wasn't
didn't, but,
finished.
I do have a question though. I mean, through the chair, would there be a possibility that we can do a, like a term or a temporary, permit, allowing them to do that, and then have it come back to us in 4 years, 5 years?
I think that's more on how, I think we would have to modify the proposed amendments to include additional language on, I guess, how we can limit the number, or how we can limit the locations. Again, what we're doing right now, but it would require us to reintroduce that and start the process over.
Yeah.
So,
And through the chair, I believe in the, I'm playing city attorneys, I probably shouldn't, but that any type of conditional use permits are not, it used to be you could put time periods on them, but you can't legally, I don't believe, anymore.
Well, yeah, that's basically, well, you can, but what happened, you can't put a time period, but you can rescind a conditional use permit.
Yeah.
It's the condition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can't have an automatic, it's going to end at this point. It's an
Yeah.
actual right that you have once you've established.
So based on the review of an application, again, as staff, whether all city departments are able to provide conditions on there for health and safety reasons, and if they fail to not meet those conditions, that's how we can revoke the conditional use permit.
And might I suggest maybe, because it's kind of new information that was presented to staff tonight, maybe this item is better off it continued, so we could get a little bit more clarity from the SPCA, and also thinking about some of the discussions about, you know, limitations on the number, locational restrictions. Staff could dig into that a little bit more. That would be a suggestion.
To the chair.
Oh, hold on. I had a question for Mike. So before we move on, so Mike, if we can, obviously we can do that at this point. I know we've read it like 2 times or 3 times already. So at this point though, if we want to defer and continue the item, I guess it's continue the
You
item.
could
not
continue
defer,
the item,
continue
right, and give staff direction to provide additional information about. Again, I want to try to dissuade you from discussing the SPCA specifically. We don't want to be involved in spot zoning, right? And so the issue is, do you want to open up this particular zone to this? Do you want to have that opportunity available in the future, not just for the SPCA, but anybody who's interested in providing those types of services. That's what, and you know, the thing I will note is that the code is full of uses that are not utilized at the time, right? There's plenty of uses that we have on the books that people probably are not aware of the fact that they're there, but that might surprise somebody that are just never used, right? For one reason or another. We have some antiquated ones. Branding, I don't know, but in any event, yeah, we do have some crazy ones that have never been purged from the code. So, but it's not unusual at all to have uses listed for a particular zone that are never called upon for whatever reason. So,
But before us is, this was a prohibited use in this zone.
Right.
That would allow it to be opened up, not just for now, the discussion, but for future.
for
So
ongoing,
for
that's right.
ongoing,
You
and
were
that's-
making a permanent change to, well, I won't say permanent because you could always take action at some later point, but you were making a change to the zoning code to allow this, subject to the conditions that were described by Aria.
So let me, I had here and then I had here. Okay, so Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem Ansaldo Sanchez and then Councilwoman Benuelos.
If we were to continue this item, would it have to be for the next meeting or would it be like whenever we want to bring it back? Because I think he said 2 to 4 weeks, so it might not be having an answer or whatever. I don't know.
Usually only continue something like this once or twice at most, right?
Right.
Because at some point, there's some confusion on the part of the public as to, wait, is this thing still on the agenda?
Right.
So I would recommend that if you were going to continue it and you wanted to continue it for a longer period of time, but again, this isn't SPCA specifically
Right.
driven, right? So we'd have more information that might be relevant to your decision making, but I would recommend that if you wanted to kick it over to the March meeting, you could certainly continue it specifically to that meeting to give a little bit more time to see if we can't tease out some of these issues.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Benuelos?
Ariana, on this slide 6, the overview, you just had it up. And you had mentioned earlier, in the presentation, we were rezoning, correct? And we're specifically looking at the red, correct?
Yeah, but we're not rezoning, just to clarify. It's gonna be kept the same. What we're changing is the allowable uses within
allowable
that
uses.
zoning district.
Okay.
And to clarify too, and just for further information, this is the staff is proposing a minor use permit because it's an approved at an easier rate and it still gives restrictions and conditions, but ultimately there's also the option for a conditional use permit that can go straight to planning commission, and planning commission will have that authority to review the project and make the final decision of it, whether it can be approved or not without, well, staff will still review an application, but they make the final decision on that during a public hearing.
Okay, and then also the change of the verbiage of the definitions, that is specifically what we were requesting last time, right?
Yes.
It's just give us a clarification. All right, I was just going to say that, if we need to wait, then, let's do it. But I was ready today, so.
Yeah, and through the chair, I think waiting, whether it be the 18th or the March 4th meeting, I think would be advisable because it will give staff an opportunity to look into some of the concerns that were expressed and agree with Mike completely. We're not trying to do a spot zone, and we need to be a little cautious about that. So for us, whether it's the 18th or the 4th, it'll give us time to dig into some of the things that were brought up tonight about the concerns about the commercial nature of things. And I think we can dig into what Ariana just said too, like maybe an MUP is a too big of a leap. Maybe we should reconsider based on some of the concerns about making sure it goes to public hearing and is presented at the planning commission. Maybe a conditional use permit is a better approach. So we can investigate and bring some options back to council. And maybe we could even come back on the 18th to get some better direction. And that way we could, actually, if we have to make ordinance changes or whatever, we could do that at the March 4th meeting. Because any changes, significant changes we make would have to come back as an introduction. Is that correct? Like, so maybe we can come back on the 18th to get direction, and that would help.
Okay. Okay, so council, then, I think there is a consensus to come back on the 18th, so we can gather
Chair,
additional
so-
information. Okay, hold on, council member. So so we come back on the 18th, then that'll come back and we will have to reintroduce this. So you're gonna give us options and alternatives. I want to make sure too, because you said right now it's a minor use permit, that the options that come back to us, if the council agrees for it to come back, that we have the choices or alternatives for it to be a minor use permit or a CUP, right? Because
Right.
I know there was a comment that there was no opposition, but I think a lot of our residents wouldn't even, don't know and aren't aware that if this is gonna happen, when they see that, you know, a lot of times that's when residents say, what happened? Why is that here? So I think it'll allow for more opportunity for public to comment and to have feedback.
Yeah, and I think what I've understood from tonight's or the discussion is that on the 18th, we're coming back with the proposed option and addressing the concerns and what our staff recommendation would be based on tonight's discussion, and then notice it for introduction and then formal adoption at a later council
We
date.
would get the direction, because I
Yeah,
don't want
we
you
would
to
get direction.
tweak the ordinance again, and then maybe we didn't get it right.
Back on the
Yes.
So
So 18th, we'll be asking for direction from the council based on our discussion today and the concerns. And then from there, we'll reintroduce the ordinance and go for formal adoption.
We're really making this much more complicated than it needs to be. If there's no interest in moving forward with the ordinance, then there should be some sort of action taken tonight to just kill the ordinance, because what you're basically saying is on the 18th, you're going to consider a brand new ordinance to be prepared and brought back for first reading and so forth and so on. So if you want to not have the option of taking action on the ordinance as it's written tonight, then there's no need to continue the ordinance.
So I don't think we're doing a new ordinance, and let me go to council member Cabrera.
That was actually what I was gonna ask. If we're gonna wait until the 18th to receive new guidance, so might as well start again or just vote on that. I certainly don't think that this is the third time that we've seen this. It's not the first time. I don't think there's much surprise in the ordinance. So from my perspective is that just move on, vote on it, and whether it's a no or yes, but just move on it. Because if we wait, it's gonna be the 18 guidance and then another month to do the, if any, maybe 2 months to bring the new writings, the new record. So I disagree respectfully. I think that we should just vote, whether it's yes or not, but take action. Because if not, we could extend it a whole year.
Okay, so thank you for your comments, Councilmember Cabrera. I would disagree because there is no urgency. So bringing it back on the 13th to be able to get additional information, I think for me, it's a critical change. It's a critical change in terms of what we are going to allow from what was not permitted, especially in our core area and of our downtown. When we've had numerous discussions as a council, we have goals in terms of what our downtown, the viability, what we want to bring to our downtown area. And so I think this gives us an opportunity. Yes, we can vote on it tonight, but I think it gives us an opportunity to be able to have different alternatives if it's going to come back. And it's not going to be modified. I mean, it's still going to stay the same. You're just giving different alternatives, right? If it goes through.
If you're talking about changing the permitting process, that would be something that would trigger the need to reintroduce. the ordinance, Right?
So if we don't change it, then we don't have to reintroduce it. We just come back, get more information. As Megan said, maybe it's get more information, clarification of the need, and then come back.
So my suggestion would be that you continue it to the meeting of the 18th as it stands, right? And ask for additional information, and then you can provide direction at that point. If at that point you decide, oh, this is not working out, then you take the vote that was suggested by council member here, and then it dies because it won't get a second. Maybe it gets a second and then it gets voted down, but at least you'll be acting on the same ordinance. And then if on the basis of the information you provided on the 18th, you decide, oh, in its current state, it doesn't work, and we want to make the following modifications, then we would have to start the whole process all over again with a reintroduction.
And just to be clear, there is no urgency. So I mean, if it was an urgent item and it's like, we need to move on it, but there is no urgency. So I just want to make that plea to the council that there is no urgency at this moment. So I would recommend that we continue it to March 18th as
February,
is.
February.
Oh,
18th.
February. Yeah.
Oh, February 18th?
Yeah, we need a
We
motion.
need a motion. So did we get a motion?
So moved.
Okay, my
To continue the
recommendation.
item to.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we had a motion and a second, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, did you second it?
Yes.
Okay, so with that, then we will all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those in favor, those that are not in favor, say nay.
Nay.
You,
I know. Sorry.
did you say yes?
Aye,
No,
aye.
because you approved the motion.
I know I did.
Okay,
I was
so,
thinking something else.
okay,
sorry.
so we have one nay. Okay.
Okay,
That's roll call.
Okay,
Did we
do we
roll
need to
call?
do
Did we have-
roll call?
Yeah, let's do roll call, because at this point, it's
Okay, let's do roll call.
only 8 o'clock. I can't believe we're this confused.
And you, I think you can't, I'm just point of clarification. You can move an item, but you can vote
Yes.
anyway, correct?
Yeah.
Even
Yeah,
if-
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's just to bring it forward for consideration and formal voting.
Okay.
So it's February.
February
February.
18th.
Velasquez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Fernando Ansaldo Sanchez.
Yes.
Councilmember Fernando Cabrera,
No.
Councilmember Abrisa Gonzalez,
No.
Councilmember Ben Caldera.
Yes.
Okay, so motion carries. So we'll come back on February 18th or February. We're done with this item. Let's move on. Okay, thank you so much, Ariana. Appreciate it. Okay. So we'll move on then to our next item of our agenda, and it's our business. And this is resolution number 6325, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Soledad selecting Eden Housing as a developer and authorizing the city manager to execute an exclusive negotiation agreement for the development of 540 Gavilan as a 100% affordable housing project. So I will turn this over to Beatriz Trujillo, our executive.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Sorry, I was making sure that I was promoted to be able to present.
Let's go.
So good evening, Mayor and City Council. Here also with Eden Housing, we have Dixie in our chambers, and we have somebody from their design team online so that they can answer some questions, and they will also provide some feedback some insight during the presentation. So let me go ahead and share my presentation. So this is probably a moment that we, as the department and as the city, have been waiting for, is the selection of a developer for at least 100 affordable units at 540 Gavilan Drive. The action that we are recommending tonight for this item is one, for the city council to select Eden Housing as the developer for 540 Gavilan. To approve the executive negotiating agreement in substantial form that is attached to our staff report, and also to authorize the city manager and city attorney to finalize and execute the ENA. A little bit of background on this project. Back in 2024, the city had some ARPA funding along with some funding from the successor agency. And council decided that it was important to buy a piece of property, it's a little over 4 acres, 4.6 acres, located at 540 Gavilan. With those funds, the city purchased the land from the Aga family, and it was always with the intent that we leverage some of those sites that we have available in the city so that we can leverage the opportunities to build affordable housing. So now that became city-owned land, and it's a very transformative project because right next door, we also have a piece of land that we want to develop into a future park that we keep on calling the Toledo Basin Park. So this project is very important because it's bringing affordable housing. But what makes it very unique is that we have an opportunity to truly maximize the community benefit by having an affordable housing project truly merge with a park that it's also in the near future. And more importantly, this project will also advance our RENA numbers and our strategic plan goals. So a little bit of the background on the RFQ process is in September of 2025, the Community and Economic Development Department, we opened the request for proposal for 540 Gavilan, and it closed on October 29. So we received 2 qualified proposals, and both of them were very strategic and were very good. However, we did have a scoring system that it was up to 100 points, and the developer that scored the highest was Eden Housing. Some of the reasons why we selected Eden Housing is because their design integrated very well the affordable housing. It was a preliminary design that integrated also Toledo Basin so that it feels like a natural extension, because this is high density housing, but we also want this to be quality housing. So we want our residents to also enjoy the park that it's going to be next door. And you will see a little bit more of their preliminary design. It's nothing concrete, but the idea that they have of how they can integrate this development with the park. They also have a more diversified financial approach. Most nonprofit developers depend very heavily on tax credits and on either tenant or project-based vouchers, which Eden is exploring, but they're also exploring other federal and state funding. And Dixie's here if later she wants to add a little bit more to that, but those were part of the reasons why we selected this applicant. And they also have a very strong public-private partnerships. And at this time, because we have so much uncertainty with vouchers and tax credits, we feel that somebody who has a very strong public-private partnership can be a key in making sure that the project is moving along. So the project overview, the RFQ requested at least 100 units, but Eden is proposing 143 with the ability to phase it out. And I'll let Dixie explain more of that if you would like to have any follow-up questions. From those 143 units, 141 will be affordable, and they will be a mix of 21 one-bedroom, 53 two-bedroom, and 3 three-bedroom. This was based on a community survey that we did before releasing the RFQ, and this was the type of layout that the families were, though the people that responded to the survey identified as the need. So we were trying to integrate the community feedback on our RFQ. They will also have 2 manager units, and those are no deed restricted because the manager will be occupying those 2 units. So 41 affordable deed restricted and 2 manager units that are not deed restricted. Some of the amenities that were highlighted on Eden's proposal is the outdoor play and gathering areas, resident resource networking center, technology access and learn suite, and volunteer and neighborhood anchored hub. The location and the timing, it's also aligning with, as I mentioned before, with our parks master plan and the development of Toledo Basin. So this is a sketch that the designers from Eden Housing put together in a very fast fashion when they saw that we were presenting some preliminary designs for the Toledo Basin. And this is how they were proposing to integrate the park and the project. So at this point, even though we didn't know that it was going to happen this way, but we feel that our timing with the housing project and the park is aligning, and we should totally maximize the opportunity to go after funding because we have better funding opportunities when we can maximize the community benefits. So taking advantage that our timelines are aligning. And then maybe Dixie, I'll turn it over to your team here if they want to speak a little bit more about the design. I know that we have Angu from Edit, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name okay.
No problem. I'm Angshu Priya, Angshu in short. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties, so my video is frozen, but I can certainly speak to the design. Thank you for having me. I'm a senior associate at Steinberg Hart Architects, and it was a pleasure to work on the conceptual design for this project. What I wanted to note was that, architects get super excited about working on a site that is situated next to a park. So everything that we did was to reinforce that connection to the park. And so the central green space that you see that the walk-up modules are situated around, we made an intentional connection to the park. We employed traffic slow down strategies such as a rolled curb for pedestrian access from the community into the park. And then the parking, as you can see, is situated away from the park so that the residents can have a more intentional physical as well as visual connection to the park.
Yes, if I may add to that one, Katia, one of the architects that was here for the interview when we were doing the selection process, something that they are also taking into account when putting this design together is our wind and making sure that within the units are placed strategically to provide some shelter within the green spaces inside the project, so that some of the taller buildings can serve kind of like as a shelter or a barrier for the wind, so that we can also maximize the use of the green spaces within the project.
Absolutely.
So that's an overview. I mean, of course, these are just conceptual plans and there will be more opportunity for community input, but those are some of the highlights that made us select or propose EDIT as the selected candidate for this project. Now, for the ENA, an overview of the exclusive negotiating agreement that we are proposing tonight. Basically, what it does is it establishes an exclusive negotiation timeline where we can negotiate with Eden how we're going to proceed with this project. Right now, we are proposing that the ENA it has a term of 1 year. We could move faster. We hope that we can move faster, but if for some reason we need more time, it also allows the city manager and the city attorney to make that determination if we need to extend the term. The other thing that the ENA does is it allows, during this time, it allows for the developer to do the feasibility study and also for us to work on what are the type of funding that we're gonna pursue. With the ENA, we are not approving the transfer of the land or the final project. We are just allowing the city to enter into negotiations with Eden Housing to determine what the future of the project is gonna look like. But with the ENA, the city also preserves the full discretion before moving forward, and any other decisions will come before City Council or Planning Commission. Now, our financial overview. The investment for this project happened back in 2024 when we purchased the land. It was around a little over 1.7 million that we used from ARPA funds and also from the successor agency. At this time, this project is no longer having an impact on the general fund. The developer is responsible for securing funding, and any other future commitments will return to City Council. Now that we have our strategic plan, we are gonna be more proactive about bringing this light so that we can let you know which goals we're advancing with this project. So the goals that we're advancing with this project is goal 2.7.2, which is activate city-owned sites, and also goal 2.11, which is advance arena housing pipeline. And if council decides to approve this item tonight, the next steps will be to advance our due diligence and design refinement. We will also coordinate with the team that is working on the Toledo Basin Park. We will have a meeting with them just to make sure to see how our timelines align and how can we better leverage any funding opportunities. We will work with the developer for them to pursue competitive funding, and any other approvals in the future will return to the City Council. And with that, before I take it to comment or questions, I would like to give Dixie an opportunity if she wants to add anything else that maybe I missed during the presentation.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm going to try not to blow you out getting too close to the mic, so let me know if I need to step back. Hi, I'm Dixie Baus, Director of Real Estate Development for Eden Housing. Thank you so much. It's humbling to stand in front of you to say, wow, we are so excited about this opportunity. And it's one that we're gracious to have Steinberg Hart with us, who has done work in your community already, particularly across the street. And knowing exactly the environmental challenges that come just with winds and gusts and the site. And the site is so exciting and challenging at the same time. But more importantly, what gets us a little bit excited is to have that public-private partnership opportunity where you have an asset, a piece of land that you already wanted to develop a park. And we have an idea to develop housing, and those two do mix. And to take the opportunity to leverage both at the federal and state levels, your already committed funds to purchase the land just brings it one step closer to a true partnership. So we can tap into dollars where public facilities are being created, as well as affordable housing. It makes it very, very competitive. We've got a track record of doing that, and we're excited to do that with you. Our vision, really, when we saw this site, was to enhance the already work that the community and the city had done together on the visioning of the park. You guys already laid it out. All we had to do was follow suit and bring what we want to do, and that is an inclusive community that offers a range of housing opportunities for the people who live and work and come to Soledad or call Soledad home and want to stay in their homes. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and I will definitely answer any technical questions you have on anything not related to architecture, because I have Angshu on the line, and you don't want me talking about architecture.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dixie.
And with that, if council has any comments or questions, we're happy to take those.
Before we come to council, let me take it out to the public, so that way if there's any comments or questions from the public, then we can take those first, and then we'll come back for council questions and comments. So with that, then I will open it up for the public for any comments or questions on resolution 6325.
Hi. Good evening, Mayor Velasquez and City Council members. My name is Juan Barbosa with the Carpenters Union. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. The affordable housing project at 540 Gavilan Drive represents the kind of investment the City of Soledad needs. It will bring much needed housing to working families and residents who are struggling to stay in the community they call home. More housing means more stability, opportunity, and a stronger Soledad. Construction projects like this can create real pathways for local residents. This includes apprenticeships for young people graduating from high school who want the opportunity to enter the trades. These careers provide family-sustaining wages, healthcare, retirement benefits, and long-term economic stability. The project at 540 Gavilan Drive has the potential to provide training opportunities, workforce development, and access to healthcare benefits for workers who live right here in Soledad and who would love to work locally instead of commuting for work to the South Bay area and beyond. However, to date, we have not received commitment from the developer to use a skilled and trained workforce or to partner in meaningful workforce development efforts. That is a missed opportunity and one that can still be corrected. I respectfully urge the city to ensure that this project includes clear commitments to apprenticeship utilization and a skilled and trained workforce. Doing so will help ensure this project leaves a lasting positive impact, not just in housing units, but in stronger families, better jobs, and a healthier local economy here in South County. On a personal note, some of the carpenters I learned from the most when I was an apprentice carpenter lived and still live in Soledad. We built schools in Greenfield and King City a couple of decades ago in the mid-2000s. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Brian Shields. I'm a field rep with Carpenters Local 646. I appreciate the time to get to speak tonight. I wanted to speak a little bit about some of the subcontractors that are found on affordable housing projects like Trancor, who have litigation out there where they have it's wage theft. through and through. There's other cases in Santa Cruz where subcontractors are being investigated as well. And we want to kind of front end it so that people don't have to go through that, right? It's a prevailing wage project. Nothing that we ask for is above and beyond prevailing wage. All of the financial requirements would be met within that. So I have language here that I would very much love to see instituted, but it's several paragraphs. So if you bear with me, apprenticeship for every apprenticeable craft concerning carpentry related work, including but not limited to millwright work, pile drivers, concrete formwork, drywall, metal stud framing, wood framing, insulation, architectural signage, panelized roof structures, acoustical ceilings, scaffold, door frames, hardware, bathroom partitions, fixtures, rough and finished carpentry and mill cab installation covered work shall participate in a joint apprenticeship program approved by the State of California Division of Apprenticeship Standards or an apprenticeship program approved by the State of California Division of Apprenticeship Standards that has a graduation rate of 50% or higher and has graduated an average of 25 apprentices for the last 5 years on average, immediately preceding submission of the pre-qualification documents. Contractors employing carpenters shall maintain compliance with this provision until project completion. Healthcare expenditures. Each construction contractor who employs construction craft employees performing covered work for at least 500 hours on the project shall make healthcare expenditures for each carpenter-related employee in an amount per hour worked on the equivalent to at least the hourly pro rata cost of covered California Platinum level plan for 2 40-year-old adults and 2 dependents 0 to 14 years of age for the covered California rating area in which the project is located. If prevailing wage is a requirement on the project, pre-qualifying expenditures shall be credited toward compliance with prevailing wage. Payment requirements up to the amount determined by the Director of Industrial Relations pursuant to section. Construction contractors without construction craft employees who hire subcontractors employ construction craft employees performing covered work for at least 500 hours. Project shows a contractual obligation that such subcontractors so comply.
Thank you. So you have 3 minutes. I just want to
Thank
make
you.
sure that thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, do we have any additional comments?
I received one public comment from MST regarding this item. Dear Soledad City Council, Monterey Salinas Transit MST provides public transportation in the city of Soledad. Line 32 serves Soledad on a fixed looping route through town and runs every 30 minutes Monday through Friday. Line 23 -23X provides a regional bus option for those traveling to and from Soledad to other parts of Monterey County. Line 23/23X has limited stops on Front Street and at Soledad Mission Center. After reviewing Resolution 6325, MST kindly offers the following comment for your consideration. It has come to our attention that the proposed development at 540 Gavilan includes a transit stop off Gavilan Drive. MST is pleased that the 100% affordable multifamily rental housing project is incorporating transit. Transit services to the project site is not currently within MST's operating budget, but could happen in the future. Please contact my office to schedule a meeting to review the proposed transit stop and ensure it complies with MST's most recent version of designing for transit. Line 32 provides nearby transit access to the proposed development via a stop at Orchard Lane and Gavilan Drive, which is less than 1,000 feet from the project site and within walking distance. We encourage Eden Housing to purchase bus passes for residents to promote public transit use and provide an affordable transportation option. MST values our partnership with the City of Soledad and appreciates continued efforts to provide sustainable and affordable transportation for residents. And if you have any questions about above comments, please contact me. And then he gave his email and phone number. Thank you.
Thank you. Was that from Carl? Oh, Michelle Overmars. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, let me take it out if there's no additional comments from those joining us here in our chambers, and I will take it out to those that are joining us via Zoom. So do we have any questions on this matter from those that are joining us via Zoom? Let me just make sure I can see everyone.
No.
No?
Diego's saying no.
Thank you, Diego. Okay, so so seeing that there is no further public comments on this, then we will close the public comment. We'll bring it back to council. And I think let's start with questions. There may be questions, so I'll start with Councilwoman Bañuelos.
Thank you, Dixie, for joining us too, and Beatriz, thank you. Just a quick question. I do see the slide and actually, no questions.
Okay.
No questions. Sorry.
Okay. Councilmember Cabrera.
No questions.
Okay. Councilman Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalo Sanchez.
Yes. For clarification, I know we're talking that it's 100% affordable housing project. Is that just for a specific group? Is it low, very low? Is it moderate? Is it all? And is there like a percentage of how many yet, or we haven't gotten there yet?
Yes, we do. Actually, give me 1 second. I can pull that up.
And through the chair, I believe it's, and Dixie could correct if I'm wrong, but I believe it floats between 50 to 80%, and it would be averaging around 60. And that's kind of, there might be some folks that are at lower income, but generally speaking, when you do these tax credits, they average about 60%.
Yes, that's correct. With one also additional caveat, and that is primarily we're thinking of the vehicle of using the ASIC program, which pairs with transportation, regional needs and regional wants. And so there's a little bit deeper affordability. So there may be an average affordability in the 50% range, but still providing a very large range. And mathematically, it's possible to create units from 30 to 80% in that formula. And not restricted to any particular population or age range. It's 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. So whomever wants to live there that is otherwise income eligible would be able to apply to live there.
I might have more questions.
Sure.
So I know it's 1, 2, and 3 bedroom. Was there a conversation to include studios, or was it an exclusion for a reason?
Studios, no, studios wasn't an exclusion for a reason. It could potentially, we could add studios if we did a market study that said, hey, there was some need for studios or smaller units, we could do that. We want to make sure that we are providing no less than 25% 2-bedroom units and 25% 3-bedroom units. So how we toggle on the studios and ones is basically what the market needs, what the community needs. And so we haven't really dove that deep into studios versus 1-bedrooms in the community yet.
And then would there be an opportunity to have some of these affordable units be also considered for workforce housing, or is that not something that would be able to?
Workforce housing meaning above 80%?
Housing for our workforce. I think what I'm thinking about is for folks that need housing here to stay and work here, and how that would work, or is this not something that would be possible?
Yeah, through the chair, I think that's the intention, is to offer this up to people who, live here or who would work here. I think workforce housing for us who are in the housing field, actually ties more to a range of income.
Got it.
And this would be lower on the lower scale. But to say that these won't be working individuals, they will be, and they will be part of our workforce.
Yeah, and in the county of Monterey, that number is extraordinarily high of people who live, work around in communities, including many people who work in this very building, are considered eligible because the county's income is so incredibly high.
So even at 80%, we're on the higher end because the average of people who are earning income in Monterey, that's feeding into Monterey, Carmel, it's feeding into what our average median income is. So we benefit in a way from being in a community with those higher end communities because it brings up the median.
Got it.
So
Awesome. And then going to kind of what we had just now for public comment, would we be able to ask Eden to consider these items? So would we be able to have that discussion today to consider the apprenticeship conversation, the healthcare conversation, stuff like that?
And through the chair, one thing I might just give clarity. This is kind of a very initial first step.
Right.
So a lot of the things that are requested would come at a later time. We're in the very preliminary phases, and they have to really dig down into their performas, but it is going to be a prevailing wage project.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't know if Dixie wants to add anything, but I don't think, I think putting that in the exclusive negotiating agreement is not the right place right now. But remember, we're not even, we haven't disposed of the property yet, which would be at that point where we have a lot of language with conditions. But I don't know, Dixie, if there was.
I'll just make one brief statement on that, and that is, I wrote it down. Eden is committed to following all requirements of state laws, funding, and local ordinances. That said, any discussion beyond that goes through the office of our president and CEO, Linda Mandolini.
Those are my questions.
And through the chair, I did want to mention with the MST thing, that was a preliminary idea. So again, this is all preliminary right now. It's basically, we're agreeing to date Eden right now. We're agreeing to work together on this project exclusively, but there are going to be points where we engage the community, we work on the design. So there's a lot more to come. This is just the initial step.
Thank you. Councilmember Calder?
Just one question. What would be the time frame from the beginning of the project to the end?
Well, right now, what we need to do for our organization is have a signed ENA agreement. And I'm scheduled to go to our Board of Directors and Finance Committee on February 18th to ask for approval to sign and enter into that ENA agreement, as well as the funding requirements that we'll need to begin with the pre-development. Whether or not we come to that agreement simultaneously, all of that will go off. What the ideal would be is to begin work immediately with the transportation agencies, the city agencies that are with the bicycling and other alternative transportation modes to try and ready the project for NAHSC application next April. So that means we would need to have all of our entitlements in place before we could place that application. And planning for that ASIC grant application is an enormous effort between the city and the other agencies, and we would want to get started right away with that.
So maybe rephrasing the question here, on a project like that, how long would it take?
On a good day, 5 years.
Okay.
On a bad day, more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's from where we're thinking about it to doors opening.
point of information, and then that would be for both phases or just for one phase?
That contemplates it all going in one phase. It would be, the ASIC plays a little bit better on a larger scale, if you will. If ASIC wasn't, successful, the project can be designed in a way to go in a phased, but our ideal, is to build everything all at once.
Any additional questions? Councilman Cordero?
No.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for bringing this to us. I know it's exciting because it's 100% affordable, and for working in that space, I know that these projects do take a long time, Dixie, and that it's hard to get these affordable, 100% affordable projects. So I thank you for that, and also for making sure that the vision of our community through the park process, because there was a lot of extensive community input, that it really maintains its integrity to make sure that it aligns with what the community wanted, right? And that we don't change that. Obviously, there's going to be some minimal, but that remains. I think for us as a council, I think it's important to make sure that the community portion of the park really retains its integrity of what the community wanted. And then I just want to, in terms of MST, I know that I sat on the board for like almost 8 years, and I know typically transportation is an afterthought for many of our developers, but making sure that transportation is an integral part of all of our communities, understanding that there was, I think, want to say maybe a couple of years of revamping the microsystem here in Soledad to ensure that or South County, to ensure that it really met the needs of our residents, because we know transportation is an issue, and we want to make sure our residents have access to quality transportation, especially in these areas where we are really coordinating our city to connect. We say we want a connected city, but sometimes we don't think about that until the after. So I want to thank MST, and if you guys can work with them to ensure that is being done, so we can maximize those opportunities for those future residents and the people that are going to be in the park as well. So thank you. And then I just want to make a comment in terms of also some of the comments that were made. And Dixie, I know you said that it has to go back to your board in terms of anything addition. And I know right now we're in the early phases of this. Having come from labor compliance and understanding our workforce and understanding how critical it is to be able to ensure that these projects are really meeting the needs of our community, I would highly recommend that we come back at some point. We're not there yet, but that we do come back to be able to look at some of the proposed pre-qualification language. There's a lot of our folks here that work in construction and have to travel to the Bay Area. So if we can provide those opportunities here, I know that if there's federal funding, there's going to be prevailing wage, and that comes with a lot of other federal requirements. But I've also seen in some of those projects where there's still, even though they may have prevailing wage, that there's still wage theft, even in our projects. I worked in the housing division. And so a lot of our funding came from the feds, CDBG and home. And there was subcontractors and contractors that were still not paying prevailing wage, that were still, there was still a lot of wage theft. So at the point that we come back, I would like to be able to explore, and I'll, address it to Mike and Megan to ensure that we do have some of those guidance and that we as a city establish that. So I think us as a city can do that. It is our land, it is our property. And I think one of the things that's different from this project is it's not a project that we're, waiting on the developers to do that we bought a piece of land. We want to work with the developer. And I think the city now is in a different space where we can really ensure that we tell our residents, here's what we're going to do to ensure that these projects that we're entering with, and I know you're an amazing developer, so I just want to say that, but that we do we have guardrails, and I think we're seeing it, and bless you, we're seeing it more often, but that we do have established guardrails that we can come back and look at, do we put a pre-qualification in our bid specs or in our, once we get to that phase. But I would like for that to come back, and I don't know how the process for that, Mike, in terms of bringing that back. Once we're there, obviously these projects take a long time, but once we're there, I think it's important for us to assure our residents that this is their public dollars. We want to make sure that their public dollars do serve them and that that we're protecting our workforce because they are the heartbeat of our community, and we want to make sure that we address that if we can.
Thank you. We'll have those conversations at that time.
So Mike, so I guess for me, I want to make sure that it doesn't just fall off. When do we come back to be able to have those conversations about?
Through the chair, this is again like a very preliminary thing, but we will have to come back at the point of whether we do a disposition agreement or a lease agreement for the land. That's at what point we can look at those conditions. And we really will need to look at what is, legally required and how it impacts the whole entire project. We'll be digging into the financing, we'll be digging into the rules that would, again, as I mentioned, this is a prevailing wage project because I think we as a city would have to impose that as using some of these funds that we purchased the property. But we definitely got that direction, and as we work on those documents, we'll work with Eden on that.
Yeah. No, thank you, Megan. And this is my last comment. I know prevailing wage, but because I've done it and I did compliance. And I know that even if it's prevailing wage, there's still the possibility, right? So having those conversations in the future so we can ensure that we do have a mechanism to be able to have oversight, to be able to have, the workforce has what they deserve. So I'll leave it at that so we can come back at the disposition and then have those conversations. So with that, council, any further comments? And if not, we can entertain a motion.
Motion to move forward.
Second.
Okay.
Resolution number 6325.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve resolution number 6325. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, council, so now we will move on to our council presentations. Okay, so report and acknowledgements. We'll get mine. Okay, are we ready? Okay, then we'll move on. I think I'm ready. Go ahead, Darlene.
Start your clock.
Start your clock. Okay, thank you. So I just want to start on the 19th. I attended the MLK March in Seaside. On the 20th, I had a phone call with Mr. Neftali, the Consul General of Mexico. He wants to continue the collaboration from our meeting in 2025 to be able to have a South County Day where we take residents to the consulate in San Jose to be able to access more of the rapid resources. So we're working with him to be able to move that forward. Also on the 20th, attended the walkthrough as many of my colleagues did as well with the Sendero Transitional Housing. And then on the 21st, I attended the annual mayor's breakfast at Compass Church in Salinas. On the 22nd, as mayor, I sit on CHISPA's nominating committee, and we made recommendations for the board of director nominees for 2026. On the 23rd, I attended the ribbon cutting for the first naloxone fentanyl test strip and kiosk in Soledad. So super excited to be able to move that forward. And then on the same day, I met with Jody Rogers from Alliance on Aging to discuss future collaboration opportunities. They actually have received funding where Soledad is going to, Soledad, Marina, and Salinas are receiving funding to be able to provide civic engagement opportunities for our seniors, which aligns really well with what we want to do in our strategic goals. So excited to be able to have those conversations with them as they move forward with the planning process. On the 23rd, I met with a business owner, Lupe and Victor Ramirez, who want to establish a restaurant here in Soledad on Front Street. And my goal was to be able to let them know about our economic development vision for Front Street and discussions I know they're having with the planning department. And on the same day, we also attended the Salinas Valley Mayors and Managers meeting in King City. As you heard in Megan's report, there was consideration for a housing forum, and I don't think, they're ready for a regional collaboration. On the 27th, I met with recruiter Abby Akers, who's currently working on the recruitment for the executive officer for LAFCO. Kate McKenna is going to retire, so they're looking for someone. And then on the 28th, I attended the TAMSI board meeting. So just really quick highlights. We're looking at the gas tax replacement study. So we had a study session, and I want to send some stuff to the Ledge Committee because I think we need to make sure that we take a stance on, some of those options. And then also on the same meeting, the South County mayors moved forward to recommend to put on the agenda for us to fund the youth councils at $1,000 for the work that they're doing, as we heard here. I also attended a WhistleMania event with Supervisor Chris Lopez. So I plan to move forward to try to coordinate something here. And then on the 30th, I attended the Cal Cities Advancing Equity Advisory Committee. So there was a lot of great information that was provided. I know I shared some of that with Megan. And then on the 2nd, I was invited to be a guest speaker at the CAVE, which is California Association for Bilingual Education. And then I just want to share this because I think this is great news, and then I'm done. Edward Sevilla, District Director for Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren, let us know that the House had passed a spending bill yesterday, right? Which includes our streetscape project for $250,000. The president signed it, so we're thankful for them, and hopefully we'll be receiving that money soon. Thank you. Okay, so with that, I will turn it over to Councilmember Cabrera.
Yes, on the 20th, I attended the Sendero. We were doing a recognition around the little houses, and it was great to see all the collaboration from all the people there. On the 21st, I believe we along with the Councilmember Bañuelos, we visited Boys and Girls Club. That was amazing, an amazing experience, and hopefully we can connect with them and establish some relationships so that we can bring some more of their services to our town. On the 22nd, I attended in Sacramento the Revenue and Tax Policy Committee, which I'm part of it. This is my 2nd year there. Last time I was in 2 policy committees. This time that was too much. This time I only have 1. And on the 22nd, after I came back from Sacramento, I attended the SAS meeting in Salinas, which was a dinner / celebration / recognition for all the people that contribute and help them get where they are right now. On the 23rd, I believe it was I attended the ceremony to ribbon cutting for the kiosk that we have at the fire department. And on the 23rd, I met with along with Councilmember Bañuelos with a representative for 3CD here in Soledad. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councilwoman Bañuelos.
I attended 20 events, but I'm going to give that list to Darlene so that way she can post it. And I just wanted to do 3 highlights of my acknowledgements and recognition. I did actually go by myself to walk through at the Senderos encampment, and it was really good. I did take some pictures with the ladies, and thank you so much for Beatriz and the girls who woke up early to do the walkthrough with me. And another thing too is if anyone in the future, I'm planning to maybe just have like a coffee night with our encampment, and any of you guys are welcome to join me, but it's just more the logistics. It's just more sitting down and just talking to them. And another highlight for me is I attended the Daughters the Daughters of American Revolution, and we have we have the NJROTC Outstanding Cadet, Heriberto Hernandez. He is a senior at Soledad High School, and he was presented an award. And also our resident, the Outstanding Veteran Volunteer is Tony Vioretta, because he is the president of the Monterey County Veterans Parade Committee. And so I'd like to, give those recognition and shout outs to them. And I think that's it. And I want to say, hats off for all of us to collaborate and continue to have that team working. And I wanted to highlight me and Pro Tem Ansaldo Sanchez, connecting with people that want to bring business here, dentals and stuff. So I, just continue doing the teamwork. And thank you, you guys, for the economic development, for stepping up and helping and navigating that. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I will go next to Mayor Pro Tem Ansaldo Sanchez.
All right. Wait, okay. All right, so on the 19th, I attended the MLK March. Thank you to the City of Seaside for their invitation. On the 21st of January, I attended the Mayor's Breakfast at Compass Church, so I was unable to do the walkthrough with Sendero, but I'm hoping to be able to do something soon. A lot of competing tasks in my life right now. On the 28th, I attended the Young Elected Officials panel that was hosted by the United Way, along with Councilmember Arizola from the City of Seaside and Mayor Tyler Williamson from the City of Monterey. It was really great to be able to connect with a lot of young folks that are interested in leadership and giving them some tips and tools to be able to do so. On the 29th, I attended the Soledad Legislative Committee with Councilmember Cabrera, and we actually made a lot of progress. We are adding some considerations to our legislative platform, including in governance and transparency, to support legislation that enhances local flexibility for open meetings, supporting legislation allowing local governments to regulate disruptive behavior in public meetings, support legislation that upholds the ability of residents to participate in government decisions. We also are making a small tweak to our housing and affordable housing section to include land use as well, and to support funding and policy modifications that require additional staffing resources be deployed by the Department of Housing and Community Development, supporting legislation that preserves local flexibility in adoption and implementation of health and safety standards contained in the building codes. We also are making small edits to our DEI section to support legislation that would protect the rights, safety, and security of all residents, regardless of immigration status, by preventing diversion of local resources, to assisting federal immigration enforcement, and opposing legislation that would mandate the diversion of local resources to assisting federal immigration enforcement. We will be meeting, I believe, on the 19th to further discuss any other changes and recommendations before bringing it to the council, I believe, in March. And then also on the yesterday I had my agenda briefing with Megan. And then today I had my first meeting as a committee member for the Citizen Bonds Oversight Committee for the Soledad Unified School District. And I would also like to extend an invitation to the residents to the Soledad Fire Department Town Hall that will take place next Thursday, February 12th at 6 p.m. across the street at Our Lady of Solitude Catholic Church inside of their hall. And I made it with 2 seconds to spare.
Thank you.
My turn.
Councilmember Cabrera.
I'm always very brief. Okay, on the 20th, we did a walkthrough with Sendero, along with the other council members. January 30th, I met with our board, South Salinas Valley Broadband Authority. That's going well. We hit some hiccups, but we're going forward. The 3rd, had a briefing with Megan, and that is it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I want to point out my grandson, my first grandson is turning 18 tomorrow, so.
Right.
Oh, and I didn't know if you wanted to let the council know that you can't make it because.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah,
Tomorrow I will not be at the
State of the city.
State of the City. Yes, I got called for a special detail in Santa Clara. I'll be doing the Super Bowl.
Oh, no.
Behind the scenes back there, something like a special task.
Awesome. Congratulations. Yeah.
But
It's gonna be great.
yeah, I'll be back there.
That'll be awesome. Well,
Mhm.
be careful and awesome. Take lots of
Yeah.
photos. Okay, thank you for that. So I do have a couple of items. Maybe I'll send them over to the Ledge Committee for recommendation on the support for the HAP 7 under the housing. I think it's 6 or 7, right, Megan? Like there's limited funding from the state. And then also on the Prop 4, Assemblymember Alvarez has a bill to expedite some of those Prop 4 fundings. And some of that is being used, not necessarily for some of the, what was it intended, but I think it's important for us to weigh into that for our
Yeah.
legislators.
Yeah, and I was gonna say this item maybe or will be coming back so we can amend it. And some of the things that you're speaking about are already, I think, covered in the legislative platform as it is now. So if we need to send letters sooner than
Okay.
when we
So
come back.
I'll just send it. If you guys have it, that's great. If
Okay.
not, to add it. And also, I think we need to weigh on the replacement gas tax. There's still a study session at the Senate and the Assembly, but I think we need to make sure we have our voice heard in terms of the options. That was part of a TANZI discussion. So I think it's important that as a council, we do that as well. Okay, so with that, then we'll move on to city manager's report.
Yeah, thank you. So I know this is a long meeting, so I'm gonna go really quick. So first of all, I'm pleased to announce that Mike Howard accepted the assistant city manager position, so he will be starting on March 30th. And he'll probably closer to start date, say hi formally. February 11th through the 13th, I'm going to be at the Cal League of Cities City Manager Conference. I wanted to remind everyone that tomorrow is State of the City at the Community Center at 6, so please be in attendance. And then we are trying to land on a date, which tentatively might seem like March 9th, to do the grand opening of the Sendero. So I think 2 people let us know that that was working, but if you can just let Beatrice or I know if that's a Monday. And of course we still have to, coordinate with the county, but that's the date that we're working towards. So, and with that concludes my statements.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so we'll go to future agenda items and I'll start with Councilmember Caldera.
None.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Ansaldo Sanchez.
Yes, I would like to know if the city would be able to consider donating to the Soledad High School Scholarship Fund.
Okay, Councilmember Cabrera,
No.
Councilwoman Piñuelas. Okay, and mine is just, Megan, I think I said it earlier, but just on the economic development of businesses and who we've supported. I think that's important. And also, I know we have the holiday marketplace. We had a couple of other events happen, so if we can just get an update on those as well. Okay, so if no further actions, and before we adjourn, I'd like to adjourn the meeting in memory of Alex Petty, who was killed by federal ICE agents in Minneapolis. Our condolences to him, his family, and the community of Minneapolis that obviously has been really impacted by the immigration policies from the federal government. So we adjourn this meeting in his memory at